So no Julie Andrews this time. I'm a little disappointed. Where is Julie Andrews? That's the question. We've done Victor Victoria, we've done Americanization of Emily, we've done Sound of Music, and then Singin' in the Rain. No Julie Andrews. What happened?
We had to switch over to Gene Kelly.
Julie's still working hard on the stage in London at this point, I'm guessing, waiting to make her United States debut. It's coming. She's coming.
I will say, I mean, it's not like this movie doesn't have a two fantastic female leads of its own, but yeah, I will say I miss Julie Andrews being in this just because I miss Julie Andrews. I think that's more to the point. It's just I wish Julie Andrews was in most things, but Singin' in the Rain, not Singing in the Rain. I've made the mistake now of trying to type that in. It's like, nope, Singin' in the Rain. Gotta spell it right. But on this episode of the Kulturecast, a bonus episode of the Kulturecast, I am joined by the hosts of 80s TV Ladies, once again, Susan Lambert-Haddam and Sharon Johnson.
Hi there.
Hello.
And yeah, if you're clicking on this episode, you know it has nothing to do with splatter films. Shocking, I know. We're talking about a movie, a modern classic film, one of, I think, a film that we'll get into it. I think there's going to be a lot of best of, if not one of the greatest films ever made, I think may get thrown around a bit. But we're going to be talking about 1952's, directed by Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen, the classic Singin' in the Rain.
Gotta dance, gotta dance, gotta dance, gotta dance.
The public is screaming for more.
Make a musical.
Sure, make a musical.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
What do you think of me?
I liked it.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feel, and I'm happy again. I'm singing and dancing in the rain.
The show must go on.
So it's directed by Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen, written by Betty Comden and Adolph Green, and it stars Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, Debbie Reynolds, Gene Hagen, Millard Mitchell, and Sid. And it's about some silent film stars who, they find out that, hey, talkies are coming, folks. And what happens when your voice doesn't sound very good when you sing? There's a lot going on. It is what are they called? Backstage musicals, right? Is that what this is called? A backstage musical?
Yeah.
A pretty good example, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to kick it to you first, Sharon. What is your kind of history with Singin' in the Rain?
Well, I've, over the years, seen most of the classic Hollywood musicals like this. I haven't seen them all, but I've seen almost all of them, I think. So I certainly had seen this one before. It's been quite a while since I've seen it. But I love Hollywood musicals from this time. The great singing, great dancing. Sometimes the storytelling is maybe an afterthought after the singing and dancing, but nevertheless, lots of fun, lots of great performances. And this one definitely falls in that category.
What about you, Susan? I believe this may have been even your idea, possibly.
Probably because I'm educating up Chris Stachiw on the old classics.
It's true. It's a blind spot of mine that is woefully never been addressed, Franco.
Well, we're starting. This is one of my favorite films. It was one of my films that I loved. I'm sure the first time I saw it was on television, but it certainly when I got to film school, it was sort of one of the films and the film careers of stars that I studied from this film. So Gene Kelly, Stanley Donen, like I sort of discovered their career and films, other films in their genres, and from this because I was like, oh, I want to see more Gene Kelly. Oh, Stanley Donen directed this. What else did he direct? Onward and onward. So I'm a big sucker for musicals. Not all musicals. Like there's some musicals I'm like, I'm out. But this is my kind of musical. So it's funny, it's fun, and it's also, about love.
Susan, you brought up something I hadn't really thought about. Out of all of the musicals of this era, I don't know that there are any that I've seen in a theater. Now that began to change in the 60s. Because first of all, I wasn't alive then, but then as I watched these older movies, I saw them on TV. I'm not sure how many, if any, say Post, throughout a number, 1960 musical that I've seen on a big screen. Nothing is actually coming to mind.
Well, that was the joy of going to film school, is screening. There's at USC, there was a big Norris Theater was the big theater on campus. And so the ability to take those film history classes or sit in on other film, I used to sneak in. I knew the projectionist, so there were classes that I wasn't taking, but I would just sneak in to watch the film to the projection booth because I knew the projectionist, and they were always doing, special screenings and stuff. So the ability to see these films on a big screen, when in the late 80s, when I was a young, impressionable lady, was significant for me. And they're just beautiful. They're beautifully shot. And then when you realize how challenging it was to shoot them that beautifully, like with equipment that was not designed to move fluidly, and when you realize just what incredible camera work is going on to follow these dances so incredibly, it was really knocked my socks off seeing them on a big screen and the ability to do that. When we don't do that anymore, we watch everything on streaming now, and it's beautiful and it's great to have that access. But with some of these big films, it's always nice to see that big old screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I actually watched this in my basement on our projector. Yeah, exactly. I live in the Midwest, which means we have basements here. I think they have basements in California, though I think the movie Zodiac says they don't. According to the movie Zodiac, it's rare to have basements in California. That's a line in that movie that always makes me laugh. But I did watch this on as big of a screen as I could because, again, there's something about it that I think necessitates it, at least. I don't know, just the way this movie looks. It's hard to describe how beautiful this movie is, and just the way it's shot for the time it was shot, and the usage of color, and just, again, you've already both touched on it, just the amount of work that went into making this movie and making it what it is. And it's a movie that I was watching an interview, a very famous interview that William Friedkin did with Nicholas Winding Refn a couple years ago. And Nicholas Winding Refn, for whatever reason, said that his movie Drive and Only God Forgives were worth being mentioned in the same breath as Citizen Kane. And I forget what else. And 2001. And I remember William Friedkin goes like, get this guy a doctor because he's out of his mind. And I think about that often because it is 2024. And this movie is, in a lot of ways, just as good, if not better, than the day it came out in 1952. And I think it's just as important of a movie in a lot of ways because A, it influences so many things, and B, it also, I think, is just almost a perfect encapsulation of this time and place in Hollywood in a way that a movie like The Artist tried to recapture in an interesting way, but I think kind of failed because The Artist wasn't as fun as this movie is. And a lot of the fun comes from just the glee of Donald O'Connor and Gene Kelly, and then Debbie Reynolds, who, funny enough, the only other thing I've ever seen Debbie Reynolds in, and it's probably going to get a chuckle out of the two of you, is Halloween Town. That is an absolute favorite of mine. I do not kid. It is a comfort film of mine. And that is the only thing I have ever seen Debbie Reynolds in other than this now, is Halloween Town as Marnie's grandma.
I don't even know what that is, Halloween Town, honestly.
Really? It's a Disney Channel original movie from the 90s.
Oh my goodness.
And she plays, in a lot of ways, it's like a precursor to Harry Potter. A girl and her family live in the real world, and Debbie Reynolds, who's their grandma, lives in Halloween Town, and she comes once a year to visit. And the mom doesn't want her kids to become witches, but the grandma does. It's a lot of fun. And for for millennials my age. It holds a very special place in our heart because I want to say I was like 5 or 6 when it came out, and it's on Disney Plus right now, but Debbie Reynolds plays the grandma and she's adorable there. And here she's just as adorable, but for a different reason. Like, I don't know, this movie would be great without her in it, but it's amazing because of the presence that she brings to it. And just she seems so effortlessly charming in a way that like is, again, hard to understand in a day and age where we're all so cynical about movie stars and we know everything about all of them and, they can't just be movie stars anymore. This is a time and place where people were movie stars and that was a thing. And it's not treated that way anymore. And I'm not bemoaning it, but a level of mystique and mysticism surrounding the people that make these things is okay because it makes them seem a little bigger than life. And in kind of effect, it makes the things that they're working on seem that much more important. But if you can't tell, I enjoyed this movie immensely.
I'm so excited. So this was your first time seeing it?
Outside of seeing the moment that they recreate on the Great Movie Ride, which is no longer part of the Disney World, what would that have been? MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios. They had a ride where you could ride on, and they would drive through all these sets, and one of them was Singin' in the Rain. And they recreated, I believe it had to have been Gene Kelly on the lamppost, but yeah, they did that. And that's the only thing I had ever seen.
That is amazing. Like, and it is this weird time because, when it was broadcast television or even early cable television, it was all about just playing movies all the time. It was sort of, Criterion.
Yeah.
And they would, often introduce them with like, here's the classic from, Gene Kelly, and they would tell you who it was and what it was. And so you got introduced to these movies in a way that it wasn't just, oops, what's this DVD or what's this streaming or what popped up in front of me?
TCM intros before the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You make it feel important because it is important. It kind of sucks to say this. And I know that people have kind of been saying it and I've bristled at it, but I kind of agree. In a lot of ways, all the good movies have been made in a way, like not all of them, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like a lot of the really important stuff has been made already. And we're just kind of responding to it. But like, they don't make things like this anymore. They make different things, but they don't make things like this anymore. And I know why people say that, and that's okay. But at the same time, it's a shame they don't make this anymore.
Well, I agree. I agree that it is a shame that more things like this don't get made anymore. And we can just add it to the long list of things that don't get made anymore. For purely economic reasons, economics were a big part of movies from the beginning, and they made what made money. But nevertheless,
show business.
Yes, exactly. You have to keep the business part of the show business thing in mind. But I do miss this kind of spectacle, which is why somewhat controversial, perhaps. But I was so excited when La La Land came out or was coming out. And then I was bitterly disappointed when I saw it because I thought, oh, this will be great. Somebody's making a musical and maybe they'll make people make more musicals. And then I went, hopefully not more musicals like this because I didn't really care for this one.
I like when people that don't know how to sing. That's really good. I like that a lot. And what's really strange is contrast that with Barbie, like a decade, or not a decade even, right? But 7 or 8 years later, and Ryan Gosling kills it in that movie, but couldn't sing a note in La La Land. Wait, I don't get it. I mean, he was better than Emma Stone in that movie, but the singing, yeah, I remember watching that movie and feeling the same thing. Like, man, I get what they were going for, but not for me.
It did not work for me either. And again, I'm like, woo, movie musical.
Right. I like it's not a musical thing at all. Like,
but it was I had that moment. I don't know if you had the very beginning when it was on the freeway and I was like, this is going to be brilliant.
Right. Oh yeah.
And then it's
like classic old Hollywood. Like that setting, that setup. Like you could see that in a movie like this, everybody getting out of their cars and singing. And the promise is never fulfilled at all in that movie.
For me, it came down to the music in that musical. I didn't spark to it.
Nope.
So I mean that was probably the biggie for me because I was so excited. I was so looking forward to it and was just disappointed. So anyway, because I love Hollywood musicals like this one. I love the whole genre. I've seen most of them. And a lot, you watch this one and the music is just so great. Oh my gosh.
Every song.
Yeah. And the dancing, that number with Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse, my God, just amazing. Again, they don't make them like that anymore, unfortunately.
And what's even crazier is in terms of the music, these songs are brought in from other places for the most part. That's the other thing. I mean, imagine if Hamilton were as successful as it is without Lin-Manuel Miranda writing a single song. It's just, we got it from everybody else's stuff. Like, that's the thing that was crazy for me is watching this, outside of one song that I feel like sticks out like a sore thumb. But I love the performance. It's just, it felt very Bollywood cinema to me to take like a 10-minute musical interlude with Gene Kelly. Towards the end of the movie, where he's like, let me explain to you how this is going to be. It's like, oh, you're going to just show us the whole thing for 10 minutes. I mean, Gotta Dance is fun. I loved that number, but it kind of feels out of place towards the end of the movie. It comes out of nowhere. But at the same time, like, I appreciate that this movie's like, well, we're just going to give him another musical number. Yeah, of course. Like, why not? But at the same time, again, I'm just surprised by the amount of distance and weight they give to songs that were not created solely for this film, which is not something that it's almost akin to a jukebox musical now, right? I mean, the same thing, kind of. I mean, Rock of Ages, none of those are the original songs. This is just a guess, but there were so many musicals being made, so many songs floating around, so many people working on all these kinds of things. I guess I could see where they'd kind of go like, oh, well, let's, it can find a place for them sometimes.
And my memory is a little bit not what it used to be, but, because I did study this film a long time ago, one, at the time, people did that a lot more. They would just pick up, it was very sort of old vaudeville, right? Like, it was the elements from vaudeville coming in, which is you just grab a song and do it in your show. And also, I believe that Arthur Freed, the MGM producer, basically it was his catalog of songs. Yeah, he just put his songs into, what would be great is we put some of my songs and build a musical around it. Yeah. And then I'll get more money.
It was him and Nasio Herb Brown. Yeah, they were just like, these are all, and they even, they ended up writing Make 'Em Laugh anyways. I think for me, Make 'Em Laugh is a really weird thing for me because I looked at it less as a musical number, but more as where a lot of the next 50 years of like practical stunt effects comes from this one musical number in Singin' in the Rain. There are things from Jackie Chan movies. There's stuff in there that they get from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even cops from the scene where he's fighting behind the sofa with the dummy. They cop that in the second Turtles movie at the beginning of the movie. And it's just crazy to me because so many things come from one scene of again, not even Gene Kelly. It's Donald O'Connor doing that entire scene. And again, for me, it's in a movie with standout numbers, it's the standout number, but that's not even fair to the other standout numbers in the movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty, seeing it every time you're like, oh my God, this is insane. He's so good. Yeah. And it was again built kind of by Gene Kelly for Donald O'Connor based on a Cole Porter song, Be a Clown. And by based on, I mean totally plagiarizing Be a Clown. It's the same song. But Be a Clown was sung by Gene Kelly and Judy Garland in The Pirate, a different musical. So, which also had, I think The Pirate and American in Paris, the Dream Ballet, the big Broadway melody number is a staple of basically old musical theater, where you have a dream ballet sequence, right. And it's the Laurie Dream Ballet in Oklahoma. There's one in The Pirate. There's one in An American in Paris, and it's basically often a retelling of the story in dance only, and that's literally what happens in Broadway melody to a degree, right? There's slightly different story in there. And in theory, that piece was built for if Debbie Reynolds wasn't a 19-year-old who really, truly had never really sung or danced before, she would have performed the role that Sid Charisse performed. And instead, they got Sid Charisse to dance it because Debbie Reynolds learned to dance for this movie, but couldn't quite get there because that's 10 years of training to get there. And so it's very intriguing that it's that, kind of insane of a number. And of course, you can take that number too and drive directly to Barbie and the Kens, right? So
the colors alone,
the colors and the big, stretchy floor, the floor that in Singin' in the Rain is designed to make sure you don't see that Sid Charisse is taller than Gene Kelly.
Right.
And,
as if the length of her legs wasn't an obvious dead giveaway. Every time she stands behind him in the background and he's in the foreground, I was like, I saw this in The Hobbit. They were doing this in Lord of the Rings. She's standing like 20, 30 feet from him at some point. Like she's way back there.
And she's barefoot in the ballet sequence, in the dream sequence inside the dream sequence.
Right. That's why I said it reminded me of Bollywood cinema, because that's the only other time in recent memory I've seen a dream sequence inside of a dream sequence. Like it's, sure.
It's so great.
That's the thing. I loved
great.
it. It's just, what's weird is, as I had never seen something like this before, I wasn't expecting that interlude to take place. And so I enjoyed it for what it was, but now listening to you explain it and also understanding the significance of it, it does stick out, but not in a bad way. It's just like the movie takes a literal break.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, we are taking a break now. You understand that we are taking a break. I have made it clear to you we are taking a break, and we are going to spend 15 minutes. Because it's 15 minutes long. But it goes the gamut from, again, pretty much retelling, I guess, Gene Kelly's story from the entire part of the movie, at the beginning of the movie, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's a hoofer who comes to town and then meets up with the wrong gal. And then, which is, again, in the flight, like, it's so weird. It's really, Sid Charisse they're both spectacular, but Sid Charisse is really amazing.
Yeah, she's anytime, any of the musicals that she's in, I'm there for, because she's just an incredible dancer. And I could have watched just that the whole time. I have to admit, I'm a sucker for great dancers and great dance. So,
and I have to say, I'm just going to jump right forward. Speaking of great dancers and great dance, the American in Paris stage musical adaptation, I think, is great because of the dancing. I'm just jumping like, one Gene Kelly movie over, and then the stage adaptation done very recently, which is just incredible dance in the big version. So I highly recommend it if you see the touring production.
I've seen no other Gene Kelly anything. Also, this is
This is your first Gene Kelly?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pretty good one.
I think just a little bit. I understand the appeal of him immediately. Like, I understand the appeal from the moment he's on screen. And this is something I really appreciate. And again, this feels like kind of a thing that wasn't necessarily the case now, but it's a thing that was clearly something that he was okay with. He has a significant level of disfigurement on the side of his face, with some scarring from something, I'm assuming. And it's interesting that he would allow them to put the camera close up to him like that at the time. I mean, this is the 50s. People often were very protective of their image and stuff, but he has some scarring on the side of his face. And I appreciate that he was not unwilling to be having close-up shot. But this is also someone who, again, y'all's reaction to me saying I'd never seen a Gene Kelly, I think speaks volumes to his level of importance to, I guess, the genre of musicals, but also just dance in this country in general, in terms of like taking dance seriously and trying to elevate it as an art form.
Well, what about Fred Astaire? Have you seen any Fred Astaire movies? Mm-hmm. Oh my. Okay.
I know he's more of it's more of a technical prowess and more of the kind of, I guess, what the not ballroom, but a little bit more elevated, I guess, not for the common man as Gene Kelly was for, as I think.
Well, yeah, Fred Astaire was elegance and refinement, and Gene Kelly was masculinity. That's really kind of how they were perceived in terms of their dance style back in the day. interesting.
So that little scar was what gave him, part of that appeal. Like he played the pirate in The Pirate.
I like that, though. I like that he didn't stray away from that, because again, I could totally see another person at the time being very conscious of that and not allowing them to do close-ups. But I don't know, there's something just so appealing about Gene Kelly. Just the moment he gets on screen, I don't know. He seems like, the thing I will say, and I know that he seemed like very much a tough customer because he was so serious about his craft, which I understand, totally get it. He just seems like a genuine human being, the way that he portrays the character. I don't know how close to the real person the character in this movie is, but he's obviously a very private person by everything that I had read, but he seems like also a decent human being on top of being very talented at what he does, which again, not that should matter, but in a time and a place in this industry, sometimes decent people are hard to come by, unfortunately.
So I will tell you my Gene Kelly story. It's very short. I met him once at film school, and I also was in the elevator with Donald O'Connor in a separate incident and walked him into the classroom where he was going to be presenting. And then I went into the booth and watched. But both were incredibly kind and wonderful and a great experience. It was a brief introduction. However, I also knew Gene Kelly's son, Tim Kelly, because he went to film school. He was older than me. The very first student film that I worked on as a production assistant was Tim Kelly's student film.
It's wild.
And so I remember like sitting, and we were shooting a night scene and a stunt of somebody going out a window, and I was flashing the neon light on and off, and I'm like, I'm living the dream. I was 17 years old, and I'm like, this is the greatest moment of my life. There's Tim Kelly. Apparently Gene Kelly's his dad. Apparently this is going to be my life for the rest of it. And I'll just be flat. Tim Kelly's super nice. Again, my brief interaction with Gene Kelly, super nice. But a lot of that era, who knows who they were, off their world, but they knew they were sort of always on stage, right?
Right.
They were raised in the studio system. And so I think they traveled that studio system mostly because they wanted to work. And the ones that took that work seriously took also the idea of being upstanding gentlemen very serious. That's my understanding from the people that I met, usually at USC when they were coming to speak or do something, that it was part of the job to be a decent human being and to also be, presentable as, to the people.
Right.
As it were. But I also heard that again, and Tim Kelly, as the son of a giant star, was one of the more normal children of stars that I have ever met.
Well, and I would say some of the people that I would say are Gene Kelly's contemporaries maybe weren't such good people. Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, I think, are in that conversation.
That's true. That's
yeah.
true.
Well, that's the thing. But what's funny is, again, reading the stuff about Gene Kelly, especially him working with Debbie Reynolds, like, I can't imagine being her and being like, and I have to do what with who now? Oh, great. Oh, good. It's like running out onto the field and being asked to catch balls from Tom Brady and being like
in
a
the
first
Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's
Super
like,
Bowl.
God, no, I'm good. Like, I think I'd rather just die now. Like, but that's the thing. Debbie Reynolds, I think in a lot of ways, like, outshines almost everybody in the movie by how good she is and how much she rises to the occasion. Because she's fantastic in this movie.
She's totally and the fact that it's like she was just dropped. There's no excuse for her to be that good.
No,
given that, and you're like, what a risk in some ways. Except that she must have again had that presence that you're like, she's going to be great. Because from everything you read, they were like, she can't dance, and Gene Kelly's like, I'll teach her to dance. And
please, God, if Gene Kelly's the one teaching me to dance, like, of course, I would take the opportunity to learn how to dance from Gene Kelly, right?
Yeah, but it also sounds like she was pretty miserable.
Well, yeah,
Debbie Reynolds, and really, really didn't have a great time, but clearly learned a lot.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you hear about working with people like this that are super motivated, that are super serious, that I mean, again, to mention Tom Brady, because we talked about 80 for Brady, guy doesn't eat anything but vegan throughout the football year because that's how serious he took it. I am sure Gene Kelly was the same way, if not worse in his own regard. But at the same time, I'm the kind of person who would like to work with that person. I don't know if I'd want to be that person, but at least I can chase that person knowing that I'm chasing the best at what they do and I'm learning from them. And, you know, again, to learn from Gene Kelly how to dance is the only other better teacher might be Fred Astaire, depending on what you're expecting. But
and I think Debbie Reynolds tells a story about running off and hiding somewhere crying and being like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that Fred Astaire came by, you know, as that happens.
Right. As you do,
and was like, listen, come here. And then basically did his own rehearsal for himself where he was miserable and unhappy and whatever. And he's like, this is the job.
Yeah.
This is the job. We work really, really hard. You have, in order to be good, you're going to be miserable. And then she was like, oh, okay.
I think the joy is making miserable look as good as they do. They're miserable.
It's so joyful. Like, good morning.
Yeah,
Apparently they shot that for 15 hours in a row.
And when they hit that couch, you believe it. When they hit the couch, you believe that they're done. You can see it on their faces. Even if that wasn't the final take that they used and that was the time that they hit it, I believe that moment of like letting it all out is real because it feels real, because the three of them are so believable, because again, the three of them are doing that number together. It's astounding. You couldn't convince me Debbie Reynolds didn't know what she was.
I know, you can't convince me of that either. I will say that that number, right, which I saw on a television and not a fancy television, none of this fancy widescreen, flat screen stuff, just a plain old television from high school on. Every single time that I have stayed up working on something until the morning time, myself or someone else starts singing that song.
I believe it.
Because you're just like, we've been up all night. When
no point in going to bed. No point at this point.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great
so
to stay up late.
Good morning to you. Yeah, it's oh, goodness gracious me. Yeah.
It's such a joyous film, right? Like it's hard to capture something this joyous intentionally, and I know that they did, but I don't know, the chemistry between Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor, first off, is amazing. But putting Debbie Reynolds in there with the three of them, it's just like, okay, this makes sense. Let them just do their thing. Why not? And then Gene Kelly on his own performing Singin' in the Rain, which just, I mean, again, like you tear the house down with Good Morning, then you tear it right back down as they're trying to rebuild it with Singin' in the Rain. Like, geez, Louise.
That and you know, again, just such a really interesting thing because it's such a simple dance, right? Mm-hmm. Coming off of Good Morning, which is a very elaborate hoofer, you know, like multiple rooms, you know, jumping on furniture, like, and then it's really pretty friggin' brilliant. It's really, you know, it had been a while since I had seen it, and watching it again, you're like, I am so happy to watch this, and every time it's raining. And I'm in a good mood. I'm thinking of that song. And I just want to point out Tom Holland's Singing in the Rain. Have you guys seen that?
I don't think I have.
As in Spider-Man, Tom Holland?
The umbrella. Yeah. The Rihanna's umbrella in the lip sync.
Yeah.
In the lip sync.
It is my second favorite number from the whole lip sync thing. Yeah, I've seen that so many times. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
What's your first, Sharon?
It was Channing Tatum singing a Beyonce song. I can't, not Single Ladies, Girls.
Yeah.
And Beyonce comes out at the end. I'm just going to spoil it right here. You just cannot beat that. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that Tom Holland thing. Holy cow. Yeah, geez, Louise. It's funny, you know, when we think about actors now and actors then, like, and I've talked about this a couple times in the Indian cinema Bollywood show that we do. There was an expectation at this time that I don't think a lot of actors have now, which is you have to have not just the ability to act, but you have to have the ability to sing. You have to have the ability to dance. And yes, we've gone away from that now because genre kind of siloization means you can only, if you're Jason Statham, they're never going to ask you to sing and dance, but they're going to ask you to, punch people and stuff, which is fine. It's its own physical level of action. But what's interesting is there was a time and a place where kind of everybody in the industry, for the most part, was expected to do this, or at least have some level of comfortability with singing or doing some level of dance. I mean, until we get something like a Western or these other movies that kind of supplant the musical as the big genre of the time. But I mean, this is the thing for what, 10, 15 years? It's just these big studio musicals.
And this is the music, the studio musical is sort of the American invention. Again, not that they invented the musical, but this particular style was sort of what sort of went out into the world and left a very big stamp. Which you can trace to Bollywood, you can trace to Hong Kong films. Jackie Chan is basically like, yeah, I looked at Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Harold Lloyd, Buster Keaton. That's, who I studied to become Jackie Chan.
But you see, it makes sense. Like, I wouldn't, not saying I had to have Jackie Chan tell me that, but if I saw this and then saw him, it would make sense. Because again, it's just missing the people. It's just missing the other people. Because Gene Kelly is doing all kinds of things that if it were a little bit more exaggerated, it would look like he's, using the umbrella like a weapon or kicking his legs high to kick someone. I mean, he's very close. And so you can see, Jackie Chan watching this and going, all I got to do is exaggerate it a little bit more. And I'm batting in the wheelhouse of like classic Hollywood. Because again, to draw from classic Hollywood means I think you're drawing from like the base DNA of entertainment, which means you're going to connect with people a lot easier. I mean, when we talk about martial arts, we don't talk about many people at this point other than Jackie Chan, if Bruce Lee gets mentioned, but that's more martial arts, capital M, capital A. Jackie Chan is more like this than he is anything else. It's a mix of practical comedy and I guess hoofing in a lot of ways with what we would consider to be traditional martial arts.
Yeah, again, Gene Kelly doesn't have what you would say is the dancer's body, the traditional ballet dancer body, and doesn't look like Fred Astaire, and so kind of developed his own style that changed a lot about how dance works, right? And so suddenly you can see Channing Tatum do a Coen Brothers movie and a big musical number like Gene Kelly in there, which is the best part of that movie. There's almost nothing else worthwhile. But,
Agree.
I like how you don't even say the title of the movie. Don't even give anyone the opportunity to look for it. I saw the movie.
Remember what the title of the movie is?
Hail Caesar, right?
Oh,
isn't that it?
okay.
Is that it? Yeah, I saw the movie in theaters. Ugh.
I did too.
Ugh, yeah.
My stepson and I were visiting colleges and in Portland, Oregon, and it was out. We're like, let's go see it. And we went down to the little cool, funky Portland theater movie to see it. And they were sold out because there were only like 10 seats or something. We're like, oh my God, we'll come back. And we bought the next show and went to dinner and came back to see it because we were so excited to see the Coen Brothers film that it was a little bit disappointing.
At least there was the Channing Tatum dancing scene.
There was the Channing Tatum dancing scene. And it was it had to be worth the price of admission because very little else was. Although Frances McDormand as the editor, wasn't she the editor in that? And she has a couple of scenes.
I got nothing. I honestly don't remember.
You were there. I was there at one point too, but I don't remember anything either.
I remember that there was a Channing Tatum dance number. Beyond that, I'm really not sure what else happened in that movie.
Frances McDormand was C.C. Calhoun, inspired by the female film cutters of the era. And she was using a stand-up moviola, which is an old-fashioned, and I think there may have been a flatbed too, but it was just like, oh yeah, that's the bullpen where you're cutting the film, and
nice.
And she was funny. So that teeny tiny scene was fun.
Well, wasn't there? I know Damien Chazelle. We talked about La La Land, but Babylon wasn't that? I mean, that came out last year, and that was. I mean, that's talking about no. No,
I didn't even make it past the first 15 minutes. I just when I'm out, I can't. This is not for me. It's
Is
fine.
the first 15 minutes with the elephant poop?
I have no idea.
Okay, because there's apparently something about an elephant in that movie. I didn't look into it.
I didn't see it.
All I know is I believe it is about this time and place in Hollywood. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. I believe it was. It may have been set a little bit after, because this is Singin' in the Rain is set just as talkies were beginning. In fact, they're mocking the fact that Warner Brothers is about to release the Jazz Singer. So, and they're still doing silent films. So I believe Babylon is slightly after the time of this movie. I actually remember that part about Babylon, which
but just to swing it back around to Singing in the Rain.
Yes, please.
We haven't talked about Jean Hagen.
Thank you. You beat me
No,
to
we have
it.
not, and we need to. We must.
Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for this movie, and
Nomination.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay, it's okay.
Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Who won?
I didn't look that up, but I was I can't imagine. But
Gloria Grahame for The Bad and the Beautiful.
Yeah, she should have gotten it, Jean Hagen. But
that's a good movie too. Another movie about Hollywood.
I guess it was a year of Hollywood, but
it's a Vincente Minnelli movie.
She's so good in this, and she's playing, a role that is hard because she's playing the bad girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not in a fun way. She's playing the idiot bad girl.
Which is such a weird character. I was not expecting her to be like, no, we're in love. And he's like, what? No, not at all. That was surprising to me, that the way the Gene Kelly character was written in response to the Gene Hagen character. Because I was not, that's an atypical way of writing it, where he has no interest in her whatsoever. And she never takes the hint. Even until the moment they pull the curtain up, she doesn't take the. And you're right, Susan. It would have been in another movie a very thankless role. And in this movie, it is not a thankless role. It is a fantastic role.
We were talking, was I talking with you, Sharon, about Born Yesterday and Judy Holliday's character from Born Yesterday? Or maybe it was in a theater conversation I was having. But, this sort of the dumb blonde who turns out to be a little smarter and yet still dumb. But kind of clueless,
Mm-hmm.
But oh my gosh, so great. And then, I was just reading, because I didn't realize, I guess Debbie Reynolds' voice for certain songs was dubbed sometimes by Jean Hagen dialogue, I think. So some of the dialogue, when they're doing the dubbing scene for the dialogue, apparently one or two of those lines is actually Jean Hagen.
Oh, because I did read
being in a Debbie Reynolds voice, basically.
Oh, interesting. Because I did read that there was some dubbing of Debbie Reynolds, some slight dubbing of Debbie Reynolds in a couple places, but didn't see the Gene. That's interesting. And
again, it's hard. I think it's hard to get kind of accurate information on some of these films.
But nevertheless, Gene Hagen was just incredible, and I'm happy. As you intimated, this is not just exactly the stereotypical dumb blonde kind of thing that you might expect. There's a little bit more going on in there than you might think, or than you might expect.
Yeah.
Despite her seeming cluelessness, that she and Don are not madly in love.
Because it's right. It's in the traits.
That's right.
Film lovers love this film partly because it's about filmmaking, right?
Sure.
And I would say arguably one of the more successful films about filmmaking, because there's a lot of films made about filmmaking. Most times people don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Or only the industry.
Only
the
industry
industry
cares.
Loves a movie about the industry. I mean,
yes, it does.
That's why everybody thought La La Land was going to win. That is why we all were like, oh yeah, La La Land won. Makes perfect sense. It's the truth. That's why nobody was surprised until we were all very surprised.
Doesn't it feel like the last 6 years things are just wheels are just coming off all buses, right? Like,
I kind of wish I lived in a world where Moonlight had just won outright and La La Land hadn't won by accident to begin with. I want to know what that timeline's like. Things started to deviate pretty.
Maybe that was it. Maybe
Yeah, that was the moment.
That
We didn't know Warren Beatty fucking up that envelope was going to be the. Was it Warren Beatty and who was with him?
Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway.
Yes,
Right.
it was a Bonnie and Clyde reunion.
Boy, wasn't it? Not the kind of reunion I think they were expecting. And yes, to answer your question, Susan, the wheels do feel like they're falling off in record pace. Even. God, the industry loves a movie about itself for sure. But this is like, I think to your point, this is like the best I've seen.
Yeah, and this is satisfying beyond that, right? Like this is to general audiences a beloved movie too. And I think that one of the reasons that it is so beloved by the film industry is, even though it's all exaggerated, it really is looking at this, unique time in filmmaking and, and what was changing, and it touches on a lot of things that reflect, those changes. And, and it's both making fun of and honoring it. So it's I think it's very successful on that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I kind of drug it early on, but I think I'll bring it up again. I think it's more successful than a movie that is very similar in terms of what it's talking about that came out in 2011 that did win an Oscar for Best Film, which is The Artist, which is talking about, in a lot of ways, it's having the exact same discussion that this movie's having, which is, where is your place in the world when the world changes so significantly that you may not have a place in it? And I mean, The Artist kind of talks about that in a less fun way. I think this is a much more fun, upbeat, and exciting movie. The Artist is a little bit more serious, which is fine, but I think by having this be a little bit more fun and disarming, it doesn't detract from the message. Mm-hmm. I think it just allows this movie to be entertaining, which I'm not saying I don't want to be I'm not saying entertainment is the most important thing when I watch a movie, but it'd be nice if I could have a good time while I'm watching it sometimes.
Yeah. And this is just, there's so much joy in this, and there's so much people at the top of their game, right? Like just top of their game. Everybody. Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's just beautiful. I was really pleased to look at it again. And it is a film when I'm a big fan of dance on film too. This is one of the films I look at if I'm studying dance on film and how it's shot, because it is shot so beautifully. And I can't tell you how big and cumbersome those cameras were.
Oh, yeah.
I saw them. I didn't work with any, but I saw them. They were in the museums when I was in film school, and those cameras are now in museums. But the fluidity of the camera work in these really beautiful musicals like Singing in the Rain is joyous in and of itself. It is dancing with the dancers, and it's something that La La Land kind of did, but not really, and could have more easily done, right? Like you could do it now with a freaking iPhone, like
yeah.
Everybody can, I don't know. It's so beautiful how this film is put together. I've always been curious because there were scenes cut out of it. The negative lost forever, right, in a fire somewhere. So it's one of those things where it's like, I wish there was more about this film. As a filmmaker, how did this film, was this the perfect version of the film? It seems like it, but what else was cut out? And do we go, oh no, that would have made it even more perfect, or nope, that was perfect to cut it out.
I'm kind of shocked that we didn't do this episode earlier, the three of us, given that Rita Moreno is in this movie.
I know. That's so great. I'm glad you brought that up.
Towards the end of the movie, right?
At the beginning.
She's also the one that outs what they're doing. She's the one who tells Gene Hagen and brings Gene Hagen and they're like, oh no, they're dubbing your voice and everything. Oh, what a good friend you are, Zelda. Which is a great line. Like, what a good friend you are. Like, you're a pain in the ass. Jeez.
And she has that beautiful entrance, right? The premiere, I think at the very near the beginning of the movie,
right,
when it's the big introducing everyone, and she gets to have her fabulous entrance, and she's 20. And Debbie Evans, I'm trying every single person.
Debbie Reynolds?
Debbie Reynolds. You know what? It's a good thing I'm not president of the United States.
It'd be a real problem if you were.
Yes, it would.
Theoretically, at least.
But yes, my point being that they were so young, right? Rita Moreno was 20. Debbie Reynolds was 19. I think Donald O'Connor was even pretty young. I think he was like 10 years younger than Gene Kelly in this film.
You know, I hadn't even looked at that.
He was born in 25, so he would have been
late 20s.
Yeah.
Early mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And what I love about, and you know, Gene Kelly is just really interesting to look at. And one of the reasons you're like, oh, this guy brought up people. Like, he put Donald O'Connor in that movie and gave him that, you know, that incredible song because he wanted him to become a star.
Right.
It's like, and he was, you know, I don't know his trajectory that well, but you know, it was one of these things where he's like, he's so good, I want to put him. He celebrated other people's talent, right? And I think that's one of the great things I love about sort of the musical theater world is typically it is about celebrating everyone's talent and getting everyone that you know, the rising tide lifts all boats. Is you know, I think very much on display in this movie and in a lot of the classic musicals. They're finding and cultivating talent, which is just really cool.
Well, and to your point, I mean, can you imagine being Gene Kelly and writing Make 'Em Laugh and giving it to someone else, knowing what is, I mean, that's the thing, like you said, Susan, like he writes it and then he's just like, you know what? I know I can do it, but Donald O'Connor, Donald David Dixon Ronald O'Connor, which Donald Ronald, which there's a reason he was not known by his middle name. Donald Ronald O'Connor that's a mouthful. What's funny is he's so good that you kind of almost just, it's not that he gets lost in it, but when he's just kind of part and parcel with everything else. He's just, it's like the three of them are by the kind of halfway point of the movie. You just expect it's going to be, he's going to be there when anything else is happening with Gene Kelly. And yeah, he's such a good foil. I mean, I know that he's essentially kind of doing the Mickey Rooney thing of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the sidekick, yeah.
Yeah, but also like the mannerisms and kind of the jokiness. I mean, that's a Mickey Rooneyism from the time. But I think Donald O'Connor is a little bit more, for me, a little bit more charismatic than Mickey. And to be fair,
definitely.
I haven't seen Mickey Rooney in a lot of things that aren't, shall we say, problematic. I think everybody just forgets Breakfast at Tiffany's has a really problematic thing halfway or just peppered throughout in the worst way. But that's the only thing I've seen Mickey Rooney in, other than Night at the Museum with God. Who else is in that with him? It's Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke as well. Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen Mickey Rooney in. But I know enough about Mickey Rooney of the time here to know that that's what Donald O'Connor was kind of going for. But I actually like him. I like him more. I like what he's doing more. He seems to be having such a good time. I mean, how could you not be? Other than the fact that Gene Kelly was a hard operator to deal with.
But I think Donald O'Connor was up for it. I mean, I think Donald O'Connor,
I would be too.
You know, I think one of the interviews I was reading, Sid Charisse said Donald O'Connor was the better dancer. Oh no, maybe that was Rita Moreno.
He's probably the guy who never practiced, but if he did, he would have been better than Gene Kelly. But he's just like, I'm just good. I don't want to be great.
Well, I think he's a better like hoofer, the Moses scene, and because Gene Kelly was trained as a classical dancer too, and so even though he also all the tap dancing and all that stuff, he's very, very good at. I mean. Again, I love the Moses song so much. I don't love the end. I'm always annoyed. I'm like, why are they just piling? I don't get it. But the very end of the song annoys me, but the rest of the song is spectacular. I just love that song. And it doesn't really move the story forward, but my God, it moves your love for Donald O'Connor and Gene Kelly forward.
Well, I like when they're performing. I mean, when they're performing, I would be considered the diegetic performance at the beginning when it's the two of them on stage.
Yes.
That's, oh my God, it's so good. And God, the thing that I kept being drawn to every Gene Kelly dancing performance is he is staring at the camera. He is literally like, he is fixated on what would be the camera or the audience in a way that's like, it's like he's looking directly at you, which is such a choice. But again, I think it helps with him connecting with the audience. But he's like, you can see every emotion on Gene Kelly's face, which again, him controlling that and being cognizant of it, I think speaks to the level with which he's operating at as a dancer. He knows what he's doing. He's just, I don't know. I want to see more Gene Kelly movies. Let's stop watching Julie Andrews stuff for a while and just take a hard pivot.
Well, yes.
A hard pivot.
American in Paris.
Is it fun?
Brigadoon. American in Paris is funnier than Brigadoon.
Yes.
Oh, I meant fun. It doesn't have to be funny, but it's at least fun. I'm always up for a serious thing every now and then, but serious musicals can be a little melancholy for my taste. They can get, if we're talking a serious musical, I watched Les Mis earlier this year. I'm good. I'm real good. As much as I loved Hugh Jackman singing, speaking of a movie where they shouldn't have cast certain people to sing certain things. Oof.
I think I was more forgiving to that movie than I might have been had I not been such a fan of the show.
Sure.
But yeah, yeah.
Russell Crowe, everybody.
In some ways he was perfect for Javert, but maybe not a singing Javert, perhaps. But he had other qualities that I guess they thought might transcend. There's
this whole thing about having to be able to sing, though.
That.
The whole lameness of it all. But that is the hard thing, because again, this is a time and place where that's expected now. Now I think we're going back towards it, because if you think about something like Wicked, they're casting people on that are singers.
Yes.
I mean, they're not casting Adele Dazeem and Kristen Chenoweth, obviously. But if they had made the movie 10 to 15 years ago, they would have, is my point.
Yeah.
Because they were the people who made that role what it is.
Well, it is interesting that we, I think, on some level are sort of it's like movies, made musicals, and now musicals are making back to movies. And, we're in, and the musical never really quite goes away. Just when you think it's sort of dead in the water, the movie musical tries to make a comeback. And sometimes it works.
And sometimes they don't even advertise it as a musical. Looking at you, Color Purple, Wonka, and Mean Girls.
I
didn't realize that they were musicals until I turned them on and the characters just started singing. Huh. Weird.
Yeah, because they're afraid. They're afraid of everything.
I don't understand what there is to be afraid of musicals. This is not a genre that doesn't have tried and true success. This is a genre that helped make Hollywood. I get that it's maybe not in favor anymore, but I don't feel like this is something that has ever really gone out of favor.
I think it does. I think there are people that just are like, I don't see musicals.
Those people are wrong.
Oh, well,
it's weird.
Of course.
It's weird how a whole group of people could just be wrong about something.
No, I completely agree. The audience for music, the number of people who consider themselves or would consider going to a musical as a percentage of the population, I think is much less today than it was in the heyday of the movie musicals. Much to my chagrin, because I love musicals and I would like to see more of them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I think we, like anything else, when one doesn't do well, they're like, oh, nobody wants to see that. Well, they didn't want to see that one, maybe, but that doesn't mean they don't want to see this one. Come on.
Right.
Well,
and when Disney has had a stranglehold on what many people consider to be musicals for the longest time, I don't blame them, but there's so much more to it than that. Even The Lion King is a stage musical, which, again, it's perfectly fine. It's just, again, I think also now we're at the time where things, like you said, Susan, things that are things are being turned into musicals now, like Beetlejuice or Mean Girls or like literally American Psycho even.
And then turned into we're in the time of the franchise and brand such.
I'm sorry. Somebody's working on an American Psycho musical.
Oh, it's already been out. It's been out for a couple years. Yeah, it's not great. The music is not good. I've listened to the entire recording. It's like, it's fine. It's odd. It's not at all what I thought it would be. But yeah, American Psycho, the musical, Evil Dead. I've seen Evil Dead, the musical in Vegas. It was fun. There's a splash zone. They shower the audience with blood. It was an off-Broadway thing that then traveled across the country. I love musicals. I just wish I just wish we didn't have to have something else be the inroad to make it. I wish it wasn't it had to be Beetlejuice for us to be able to write this story.
I completely agree. I'm really kind of tired of that too. Let's take something that was a movie and or a TV show and let's make it a musical and people will come and okay.
It's not to say it can't be good. That's like far from it. It's just I prefer somebody to not have to tie it to something else just because that's how they make the money, which is unfortunate.
When I was in New York last summer, I saw a musical called Shucked. That was fantastic.
Yes, the Corn musical.
Yes, that was why? Because it had great music.
The music's amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't think it has any ties to anything else other than maybe Orville Redenbacher, but still, it was just so good. It was so good. Anyway,
I'm with you. No, I think again, like maybe something like Wicked and some of the stuff that's come out recently will help push musicals back to be a thing again. I don't know. There's so much stuff for everybody to watch now. You can watch anything that you want, and that's why anything can be turned into a musical at this point because there is so much of just everything out there.
Yeah. Well, there's what's the television show based on the romantic novels? That was huge hit. Shondaland, not Brigadoon. That's a musical.
Talking about the one where the woman travels back in time by accident?
No.
I thought we were talking about that steamy
Bridgerton.
So Bridgerton, right, comes out and is this huge hit, right, on television. Meanwhile, over on I think TikTok or Instagram, there's these two gals who start doing the musical version of Bridgerton, and it becomes hugely successful because they're just being funny, and then they just keep going with it, and people are like, we want more. So
remember Ratatouille the musical?
They write a whole musical, and then discover they don't have the rights to it, and everybody's shocked. I tell you.
Did that, am I remembering correctly, did that happen during the pandemic?
It did.
They were just like, we got to do something, so we're just going to do this.
Same like Ratatouille the musical. Ratatouille the musical was the same thing. It was like a TikTok. There was a thing on TikTok. It was Ratatouille the musical, and it was like a bunch of creators came together to create it. It was similar to what you're talking about, Susan. I remember it was like a thing and it was again during the pandemic when nobody had anything to do. Man, shutting down the world completely for like 2 years that's what the world needs again. It's just everybody, let's just sit in our houses and be creative.
Universal basic income and make some stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
Making all kinds of stuff. No, I think the better thing to do is just ban TikTok entirely. We pick and choose what kind of communists we like here, okay? Some are okay and some are not. The ones that use TikTok are not, okay?
Okay.
Let's just make sure we never get a vote for someone under the age of 8, under the legal voting age ever again. Very smart. I love the idea of crowdfunding musicals and creating a musical from a community of people that love it, because that is why these are successful. And the people who work in the musical industry, I'm sure you will both tell me they love it as much as they do anything else. They are in the industry because they love it. You don't get into musicals if you don't want to be there. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda hates musicals, I'm sure. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like he does it because he loves it. And I feel that with so many of the people in the musical industry, even the ones that are doing like Beetlejuice, the musical, as much as I dragged it by saying I don't like IP musicals, it has some great music. The opening song in that musical is amazing.
I will admit it was better than I was expecting. I had a subscription to, Pantages Theater at the time and went, okay, I'll go see it. All right, this was pretty good. But there were others where I was like, I just don't know why this is okay. That was in the title, but okay.
We're in a funky time, but there's just nothing like the craft of a movie like Singing in the Rain. I mean, I'm thinking about it and it's like, yeah, I mean, I think you may have seen the best Gene Kelly movie, as a movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
When this was one of the first 25 films in the National Film Registry, I don't know if, I mean, I'm not saying An American in Paris isn't worth watching, but if you're saying this is the mountaintop, I would believe
we probably should have started with American in Paris.
Don't just watch Singing in the Rain.
Because here's what happens in the other movies that he does, there's amazing numbers. There are numbers that may be arguably better than numbers in Singing in the Rain. But as an entire piece, I'm going to say that Singing in the Rain, we may have started you at the top. Now, I'm not saying they're not worth it.
Yeah.
American in Paris is totally worth it. The performance in that movie, amazing. Again, there is a little creep factor to all of these movie musicals where the guy is like 35 and the girl is like 19 or 17 or something.
I wasn't creeped out by it in this at all. Should I have been?
No, because she doesn't seem like she's 19.
Yeah.
Right. She seems of age and she seems like an adult, period. Interpret that however you want.
She seems equal to Gene Kelly, which is insane, right? When you think that Gene Kelly was Gene Kelly and she was brand new Debbie Reynolds.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, that's because she's a star.
It speaks to who Debbie Reynolds was, really.
Yeah. So, but, it's like there's so many great performances and there's so many great numbers in all of the other movies. And the movies are like, again, I would put, I would say Sing in the Rain first, American in Paris second. Would you agree or disagree, Sharon?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. Yeah.
What would you put third?
What about really more from a singing and dancing standpoint, On the Town? It's fun.
It is fun.
It's just flat out fun.
Okay.
And you get to see some parts of for some reason of Los Angeles that like they go to the Hollywood Bowl and dancing around there. I mean, it's fun. It's fun.
That I will say, I wish there had been a little bit more of Hollywood shown in this movie, just to see it of the time. Because, like you just said, Sharon, like there is also like a time and a place of this movie that can never be replicated. But to be fair, this movie's set 30 years before when it's taking place, when they're filming it. So I understand why they would not have been able to go and do that. And
it's all on a lot because everything was very controlled in order to, you can't be doing, La La Land. Do that now. Get on out there on a freeway, make a musical
with all non-trained singers.
They should have totally stayed on the freeway.
The whole movie just takes place on a freeway. There's the musical, Susan. You just write a musical and it's just going from car to car and people singing in their cars. I would fucking watch that. Let's write it. And it's a jukebox musical too. There you go. And you've just got it. There you go. It's the idea of La La Land just taken to the furthest idea, which is we don't even leave that set.
Nope.
The 405, the musical.
It would just be called 405, 100%. Yes. Oh my, how has that not happened yet? Isn't that a shared experience in Los Angeles, being stuck in traffic on the 405? You're telling me somebody in the creative world wasn't like, this could be a thing. We could make this a musical, sitting in our cars. Damien Chazelle got it somewhat with La La Land.
All right, well, I think we've solved the modern movie musical now.
Yeah. But we have to figure out a way to make it an IP. So if it's in cars, it's Mad Max the musical. I think we got it. Just takes place in cars the whole time.
I think you may have just podcasted that Mad Max the musical into existence.
God, I hope. God, I hope. Or would it be Traffic the musical, but then we couldn't have it be connected to the movie because it's a completely different thing, right? Traffic's about like drug trafficking, I believe.
Yeah.
God, we figured it out. When we get together, we'll just write 405 the musical.
There you go.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about with Singing in the Rain?
I think in order to have a complete film over history, you have to have seen Singing in the Rain. If you want to be in film, I think it is actually one of those that you need to watch. Not because it, and you may not like it even, although that's hard to believe, but I think it is one of the classic films that I think is still worth watching. And yeah.
And I guess I would expand a little bit beyond that to say that you need to watch some musicals of that era. And and definitely Singing in the Rain has to be on that list. Absolutely. Because it was a very important part of film during that time. The musical, I mean. Yeah. And it's there. I mean, there's still echoes of it, getting fainter every day, perhaps, but there's still echoes of it today. But it's definitely something that needs to be seen and appreciated.
I completely agree.
I
I'm sad that it took me this long to watch it, but I'm glad that I finally did.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.
Yes, I loved it. I enjoyed it
that's
immensely.
great.
I put some of the music on yesterday when I was cooking, and my poor wife, she goes, "Are you just listening to this music?" I was like, yes.
It has a fiddle
No.
and ready to go.
I was like, I guess I know how you feel about it now. Fine. Are you just listening to this by choice? Well, it's very different than the things I choose to just listen to normally. But I mean, I do listen to a lot of stuff from musicals, but Singin' in the Rain's music is it's very exactly what it needed to be, which is the perfect kind of music.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I agree. And I think I think the joy of this movie is a lesson in what kind of joy we need to get through dark times. I mean, the
Agreed.
musical, it came out in some ways of the Depression, and was, I think it's good to have hopeful and joyful things in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly.
While they say some of the best entertainment comes out of the worst times, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
No.
And sometimes good things can just come out at good times and be good for their own reason and on their own. And Singin' in the Rain for me is one of those. It wasn't necessarily made at a time and a place where everything was going to shit, but it can be enjoyed when everything is going to shit. And can maybe lessen that feeling a little bit. So yeah, no, I completely agree. And like I said, I'm so immensely glad to have finally watched this. I can't, what's funny, speaking of other movies that get mentioned in the breath of Singin' in the Rain, like Citizen Kane or 2001, I'm not sure I would revisit Citizen Kane again. I enjoyed it. It was fine. I saw it. Cool. I get it. I would rewatch this. I would put this on. I've seen this 3 times now. I've seen Citizen Kane. I watched Citizen Kane 3 times for the episode. I've watched this 3 times and I've enjoyed it every single time I've watched it. I cannot say the same for Citizen Kane. Roast me if you will, internet movie people. I don't care.
I won't be roasting you.
I know you won't, and I know Sharon won't, but I know that people on the internet, Citizen Kane is the best movie ever made. Have you actually seen it? Or are you just parroting what other people say? I get it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, this might be the best movie ever made, as far as I'm concerned. It might be. It's in the I would say it's in the conversation 100%. I'm not even sure there's anything wrong with this movie, realistically. Like, I'm not sure there's a problem with this movie that I could point to. Like, nothing.
Rich is going to be so jealous that I brought you a movie.
Good.
That you have no problems with.
None. 0 problems.
I won.
The 0 problems club right here. 0 problems whatsoever.
Oh, gosh.
There you go, Susan. You guys win.
I get a little gold star.
But see, that's the thing. Richard and I have done a lot of stuff together, but for the most part, it's me just going, Richard, we're doing this. And then he's the one who hates it. Normally, it's not me who hates it. Or we hate it together because neither one of us had seen it. I don't necessarily, for the most part, I'm perfectly okay to talk about things I've never seen, which I know a lot of people would rather talk about stuff they know about, but I would prefer to watch it and then do the research after, because I don't know. I've seen everything that I've seen already. I don't want to watch stuff I've seen before, at least not for this kind of endeavor. God, who wants to talk about things they like? Then we just all sound like we're just being overly positive, and we could not begin to understand there's a problem with the movie. But in the case of Singin' in the Rain, I think that is the case. So there you go, folks. An overly positive episode of this show. Stick it in your hole and smoke it, haters who say I hate everything. I liked one thing. Here you go.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, right. I guess we've already shared it, but I will give either of you the opportunity. Final thoughts on Singin' in the Rain.
I think you wrapped it up quite nicely.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to add.
Cool. Well, until the next time the 3 of us do an episode together, and possibly joined by Richard even, where can people find everything that y'all work on? We're the co-hosts of podcast 80s TV Ladies, where we look back at female-driven television shows from the 1980s. From a modern feminist perspective. And we're currently in the midst of our moonlighting re-examination. And we've got lots and lots more 80s TV to talk about. So go to 80stvladies.com. Check us out. That was flawless. I'm impressed. You guys finished each other's sentences perfectly. As for me, you can find me at weirdingwaymedia.com, along with all the other great shows, including 80s TV Ladies, Feminine Critique, The Projection Booth, Twisted and Uncorked, I could keep. naming at podcasts, but you should just go find them for yourself at weirdingwaymedia.com. As for this show, like, rate, and review wherever you get it, more than likely iTunes. Sharon and Susan, thank you so much both for joining me. This has been fantastic. Until the next time, it's probably not going to be a perfect movie, but it could theoretically, I guess. If it's a Julie Andrews movie, it's probably going to be at least good.
Yeah. Wow, you want another Julie Andrews.
I kind of do. I'm okay with that. I would be okay. Can it be the Princess Diaries, though?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Wouldn't that be an episode? That would be something. Sure, why not? Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
I worked on that movie. I met Gary Marshall on that movie during that movie.
Good of a reason as any. So yeah, I guess maybe the next time you hear the three of us, we'll be talking about the Princess Diaries. So until then, we'll catch you on the next episode.